Hello, my beautiful people. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today, I wanted to share and review the books that I read in the month of November that were not nonfiction and were not the sci-fi ones. The sci-fi ones, I've already released that video. I will leave a link in the description. And my nonfiction November, I am still working on, as we have a couple days left in the month when I'm currently filming this, but I will do a nonfiction November review that'll probably release the first week into December. But I read 6 nonfiction, I've read 4 sci-fi fantasy, and I've read 4 other books. So I'd like to tell you about them because you might be interested. As always, you can scroll along. The first one is The Bookwanderers by Anna James. I buddy read this. Oh, I love it. My bookmark fell off. My buddy read this with Nikki at Red Dot Reads. We were looking for kind of something lighthearted and whimsical, and we both really loved the concept. This is a middle grade book. This is the first in a series where Tilly, the main character, actually gets sucked into books. The characters come out to greet her, and there is a big adventure with her own mystery. Her grandparents are part of a bookstore that has a lot of other kind of mysterious things happening, and I just loved how it's written really well for younger readers. However, there's so many nods towards fiction characters and works of art like the classics, and talking about values, talking about striving to be our best, trying to do what's right, trying to treat people kindly. All those things, that comes across a lot in this book, and I look forward to adventuring this into others of the series. This one is the main characters that they're dealing with is Alice from Alice in Wonderland and Anne from Anne of Green Gables. So that was a great place to start. And there's continuing sagas throughout this. So the next one is Fairy Tales, and I really look forward to that. I really enjoyed buddy reading it with Nikki, and if you don't know her channel, I will leave it linked below. She's just so warm and caring and charismatic in all of her reviews. You will really enjoy her as well. And then after something so lighthearted, I actually was reading something that I felt was really dark and heavy, and I wasn't expecting it to be, and that's The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. I did not know, I knew it was kind of a dystopian, world falling apart kind of situation, but I did not expect it to be as heavy as it was, as just the situation of the world is where all resources are really tapped out. Everything is not only so expensive, but not even obtainable. Like trying to get enough clean water, trying to get enough food, trying to keep yourself safe because there's not good police force or hospitals or those kind of necessary everyday resources. And then what does it mean to try to survive, and how does that go forward? And it has a lot of kind of religious commentary where the character Lauren is struggling because she grew up in a very religious family situation, and she kind of rejects that and looks at her difficult situation and comes up with her own religion, really, called Earthseed, and kind of has her own philosophy that basically God is change, which I understand, but that challenged me, and I had to wrestle through that and wrestling through the darkness. And this is a series, so it doesn't all wrap up by the end. You're kind of left like, okay. But to be perfectly honest, I do not think I'm going to continue in this series. I appreciate what she was trying to do, but I don't know that I'm, the right connection for this book. I loved her book Kindred. Loved it. It was one of my top books of the year. I think she's a beautiful writer and author who has a lot of imagination. I'm sorry that she passed away before she could finish out the whole story, but also the fact that I know that she had somewhere that she was trying to go ultimately with this story, and she passed away before she got there. That makes me even more inclined to say I don't want to read the middle of the story. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, and I hope that you have enough information to know if that's something you want to pick up or not. Then I had a couple classics. So for all my classic lovers, here comes the classics. I read Siddhartha, this beautiful, beautiful edition. It's just got all these lovely pictures, illustrations, beautiful colors. And this is the story of a young boy who is going on a journey, literally, through transitioning into adulthood, seeking out his kind of piece of oneness with the universe, so to speak, and is looking on a quest. And he keeps on meeting up with different societies of, they don't call them monks, but different spiritual clusters of people that are on their path and doing different ways to try to establish enlightenment. And he has a meetup with a woman who is also very much into this kind of mysticism and tries to find that path through love and sexuality, trying to find this path through friendship and nature, a lot of it connecting back to water in particular. It's a really beautiful read. It makes you think. I read it in high school and I had not read it since, and it was fun picking it back up and reading through it. It's actually a pretty short book, but it took me a while because I had to sit with it and kind of think with it and process along with it. And I really do want to reread another one of his, Steppenwolf. So, because I remember liking that one better than I liked this one in high school, but I had found this beautiful copy and I was just really anxious to get back into it. So I'm happy I read that. I think it's a nice, short, easy classic. I don't know that it's necessarily a good place to start with classics, but I do think it would be a good place to start with Herman Hesse, the author. And then I read Wilke Collins' The Dead Secret. So I am an avid Wilke Collins fan. One of my all-time top favorite classics of all time is The Woman in White. This book, it's a little long. For one secret, it was a little long. I'm not gonna lie. Those Victorian authors will draw things out, and I think they really do get paid by word. So sometimes I even literally would roll my eyes like, really? Are you going to draw this out anymore? Do we need to know the description any more detailed? No, we don't. And I remember telling my mom at one point, she had asked me what I was reading, and I was like, if this isn't a really kick butt secret, this whole book is going to fall apart. Now I will say, I'm not going to tell you what the secret is because obviously that would be a spoiler, but I will say that the secret was substantial and big enough that it did actually justify the hemming and the hawing and the extra stuff. Although he could have said it a little more succinctly. But it is very kind of a mystery. I really enjoyed the setup of the first part of, let's hide the secret kind of situation. And it's basically a dying woman's confession to her maid, and she's getting the maid to swear on everything important to her, that she's going to take the letter and not take it out of the house, and that she's not going to destroy the letter confession that she's writing out. And the woman is getting ready to make her swear that she is going to directly put it in the hands of her husband, and she dies before she says this. So her maid never swears to that part. So she says, okay, I've sworn that I'm not going to destroy it and that I'm not going to take it out of the house, but I don't have to give it to him. So she hides it in the house. And so it's this big adventure. So there's this big buildup, right, about who's going to find it, how's the house going to pass, what's going to happen, so you can see how that gets drawn out a little too much. But then, of course, it does eventually come to light, and we find out, and everything, whittles out the way it is. And I'm not going to say it was completely satisfying in the end, but it was a solid, good ending in the end. So there you have it. Those are the books that I read in the month of November. What have you been reading? Stay tuned for the nonfiction reviews. Like and subscribe. I will see you again soon. Happy reading.